Okay, it's been about a year, and I haven't made a video on Retribution. I don't usually play this spec. This is kind of my secondary spec. Um, as you can see, I've kind of maxed out, not maxed out, but I've finished out my artifact to where I have uh, 1 point in the concordance here. Um, a couple things, and the idea is to for this to video is to have you get set up and running your Paladin as quickly as possible. So you've hit 110. I assume you've done some world quests. You've got some gear. Um, if you want, you could just take all these talents just as they are. And the one thing that might be different, you might want to play around with is this level 75 talents. These are mainly for like healing type stuff. I use Justicar's Vengeance because if you've got so it takes 5 holy power though, but you can use it to kind of heal yourself. So I've used this on some of the world bosses over on the Broken Shore and stuff to just basically solo them myself. But you might not be able to do that with unless you have high enough gear. And if you're really in some cases, if I'm trying to solo something and I can't, a lot of times just switching to protection, it'll take a long time, but you can usually down the stuff in protection spec. Um, uh, I also run with Crusade, and you can probably pick some different things here. I've actually, instead of Cavalier, I've got some boots on that um, work out to where I have a pretty good movement speed. So anyway, so let's see, talent wise, and go to Icy Veins. Once you've kind of picked this and you've gotten going, um, try it out for a while. Make some changes as you feel. Go to Icy Veins, see what they say there. They'll you might get a little bit better. Comment below, if you say, hey, you really shouldn't be running with this, but this is my secondary spec, and a lot of times if it gets the job done, that's good enough for me. So um, one thing on gear I've noticed is I run with an add-on called Pawn, and for whatever reason it shows this wave hammered breastplate, which is higher than it is 915 compared to the 900 radiant Lightbringer breastplate I have on. But I've looked over on Ask Mr. Robot, and if I actually equip it, I actually lose like 10% of my overall benefit from it, and that's mainly because I'm losing the 4 piece by equipping it. So you know. In some cases, even like a lower eye level 4 piece set is better than something really really high. Depends of course, but um, I would also use Ask Mr. Robot as a as a guide to whether something is actually an upgrade, especially on the trinkets. Trinkets, they're all over the place sometimes. I've actually still have some trinkets from the Nighthold. So, and even some of the Raid Finder trinkets in Tomb of Sargeras are would be a better upgrade. So, um, and especially if you have more than 2 legendaries, you're going to want to maybe go to Ask Mr. Robot and kind of figure out, well, which one would actually be better. Icy Veins as well. So that's mainly it. So you've got some gear, you've got put some artifact power into it, and you want to go raid and stuff. And so what are you going to be doing? What are you going to open up with? Different things like that. So here, there's the target dummy. You should be familiar with this area if you're a paladin. Anyway, one thing you could do, you can start up with is your artifact by doing Wake of Ashes, and that generates 5 holy power. Now the thing is when you open up with that, you don't want to consume your holy power until you have put judgment onto the target, and that gives an 8-second debuff that increases your damage against it, and that actually increases based on your mastery. So mastery's not bad, and when you, and I'm kind of going back, if you want to go back to Icy Veins and look at stat priority, you can kind of get a feel for that, and also Ask Mr. Robot will kind of give you some details on what you want as far as a range of stat priorities. Some mastery is not bad, but you don't really want a whole lot of it. And right now I've got like 3,731, so that's kind of in a good range for that. Haste and crit are what you kind of really want to get a little bit higher, but then you also don't want all. You don't want all crit. You don't want all haste necessarily. It's okay to have a little bit of a range in there. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up on this target real quick. You can watch. Another thing, what you want to do is get an add-on called Recount or Scata, just something that can track your damage, so you can see what you're doing. And the problem here is that all you're going to do is see my damage. You're not going to be able to compare it to other people that you would normally be raiding with. And I assume the idea behind running a Paladin is you want to quickly get up and be able to raid with it if you can. For some reason, I think if you apply both these blessings, you're supposed to get this blessing of the Ashbringer. So when you have both of the blessings on you, it's supposed to give you like here, this gives me a 4% strength increase. So that's a good reason to cast those on yourself, and maybe not on other people in the raid. Although this, that's kind of nice if your healers are running out of mana, or you could put this on the tank, put the Blessing of Kings on a tank, or somebody taking a lot of damage, that can kind of help you get through the encounter. And so that's the main goal, is to get through the encounter, not to be the top of the charts in the recount, because if the boss isn't down, you don't get loot, and it doesn't, to me, that's when the recount doesn't matter, unless you're the bottom of DPS, and that's what you kind of want to avoid. So here I'm going to open it up. I also have one other add-on called Need to Know, but basically all I'm doing is tracking whether there is judgment is on the target, and down just a little bit below my character there'll be a little yellow bar that pops up, and that kind of tells me that judgment is on the target. You can also I really like it because it's kind of practical in that it works with all my other characters pretty easy. You can move the bar around wherever you want to keep track of it. You could put it maybe right above the character, or basically the idea is to put it wherever your eyes are looking. You can. I think there's probably weak auras. There's probably other add-ons that are equally as good, or if not better. I just happen to use Need to Know because I know how to use it. So you can also use it to keep track of spell cooldowns. So I run with Crusade. Excuse me. Okay, so let me just start off here. So I'll blow that. I've got Judgment on it. I'm going to start using my Holy Power, so once my Judgment has run out, I'll just cast spells, but I don't want to max out my 5 Holy Power here, so I'll just keep doing that. And whenever judgment falls off, I want to either reapply it, or I want to wait before I spend holy power. And there's sometimes in a lot of cases I don't usually raid with this, so I'm a lot of times I'm just I just want to kill the whatever thing I'm soloing. Another thing is Wake of Ashes gives you 5 holy power. That I think I said that earlier. So what you want to do is, I generally like to cast it when I don't have any holy power filling the bar. But sometimes you've got one there, and there's nothing else. If there's nothing else to cast, then just I would say go ahead and use it. But if you can, avoid it. Let's see, other cooldowns. You've got the Shield of Vengeance. You probably want to keep that handy just in case you've taken some damage and you want to give the healer some time to heal you. So that'll put a little shield on you. So I mean, not a little shield, but here mine is a 1.8 million damage. So if anything to save you from dying is good. I also have one of my talents is Divine Intervention, which I believe reduces you to 20% of your maximum health and triggers Divine Shield. So that's pretty much like a cheat death, like the rogues have, and I think that would be really good. Just a lot of times, well, for the way I play, a lot of times I tend to, I mouse click the Divine Shield when I think I need it. The problem with a mouse click is that it's you have to move the mouse. You're moving around. You're navigating the battlefield, and by the time you get down here to click it, you may be dead. So Divine Intervention kind of works to kind of help save your life. Very much like lay on hands. There's been countless times where I imagine every paladin has been just like a half second late on lay on hands or Divine Shield. So that kind of helps you do that. And then real quick, I think I forget what Icy Vein says, but I think it says, I think Blade of Wrath is better for single target. I like Divine Hammer because it seems to give a little bit better overall AoE. And if you want even more AoE, you could probably go with Consecration and probably Greater Judgment. If you've got a lot of ads that need to be killed. So that is it as far as I know. I would finish off by just saying run LFR as much as you can. Have reset recount for every fight, and see how you compare to everyone else. If you're in the top 10 or even the top 5, that's pretty good. You're gonna, especially right now with LFR not quite all opened up. That's not bad. You're gonna have one thing that kind of this is kind of a little rant is I see people all the time that it's like they want to raid with the guild or the or some group. They've never run LFR, and they've got some gear that's okay, but they want gear from the normal raid, but they haven't run LFR, and then because LFR is, I guess, beneath them or something. But the problem is they could get pretty good gear out of LFR, or at least upgrades, and I don't know what their deal is. You actually get pretty good gold out of it too. Even though it takes some time to run, but a lot of times you're doing stuff around in the world, running world quests or doing different stuff. I assume you're playing the game because you like playing the game. So queue up for LFR and get some gear upgrades and stuff. Plus, you'll learn some of the fights. You'll, even though they're a little bit toned down, you'll kind of get an idea. It's like, okay, hey, well, I need to run away here, or I need to kill these ads, or whatever you might do. You might learn a little bit about the encounter, and then when you actually go into a normal raid, you won't be as lost as everyone else. So, well, you won't be lost compared to the people that haven't run LFR and haven't run normal. So, but yeah, it just seems like some people are elitist, but then they badmouth people for being elitist, for not accepting them into a normal run when they haven't even run LFR. They have no experience even raiding sometimes, and it's like, well, that's what LFR is there for, is for you to learn how to raid. And excuse my language, but LFR should be should stand for learn to fucking raid, and that's basically it. And I pardon my language, I usually don't cuss a lot, but that's what it should mean, because some of these people they get so upset about hey, you're not inviting me to the guild raid because you're elitist and stuff. You only want people that know how to do the fight and stuff. And it's like, well, you haven't even done LFR. Your gear is ungemmed. You don't even have the cheapest enchants or the cheapest gems in your gear, when that would be a pretty good improvement on your character. Anyway, so that's off my rant. So anyway, thanks for staying to the end. Please comment below. I've got a I don't play this Ret that often, so there's probably a few things, probably a lot of things I've missed, but it would probably be helpful for anybody else watching the video from your comments that might add to this. So thanks for watching.